Hey everyone, I'm the storyteller, and I'm here to help you relax tonight. I know a lot of you use this video to fall asleep, so before we start, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, tell me in the comments, where are you from, and what time is it there? Now get comfortable, take a deep breath, and just relax. When your neighbor isn't human. My name is Marcus, and I'm 23 years old. What I'm about to tell you happened last year when I moved into my first apartment. I wish I had never signed that lease. I wish I had never met what lived in apartment 4B. The building was old but cheap, perfect for someone just out of college. It was a 4-story brick building with 8 apartments. I was in 3B on the 3rd floor. The hallways were narrow and dark. The lights flickered sometimes, but I didn't care. I was just happy to have my own place. The first week was normal. I unpacked my boxes. I set up my computer. I started my new job at a marketing company downtown. Everything was going great. I even met some of the neighbors. Mrs. Chen in 3A was a sweet old lady who always smelled like cookies. The couple in 2A had a baby that cried sometimes, but they were nice people. Everyone was friendly, except apartment 4B, the apartment directly above mine. I never saw who lived there, but I heard them. Oh God, I heard them every night. It started on my 8th night in the apartment. I was lying in bed around midnight when I heard footsteps above me. But they weren't normal footsteps. They were too heavy, too slow. Each step made my ceiling creak. It sounded like someone weighing 500 pounds was walking around up there. Thud, thud, thud. The steps would go from one end of the apartment to the other. Then they would stop for a few minutes. Then they would start again. This went on for hours. I barely slept that night. The next day, I asked Mrs. Chen about the neighbor upstairs. Her face went pale when I mentioned apartment 4B. "You don't bother them," she said quickly. "You just don't bother them. Keep your head down. Don't make noise. Don't complain." "But who lives there?" I asked. She shook her head and went into her apartment. She locked the door behind her. I heard her put the chain on too. That night the footsteps were louder, and there was something else. A dragging sound, like someone was pulling something heavy across the floor. The dragging would stop. Then I would hear a wet splashing sound, like someone pouring buckets of water on the floor. But no water ever leaked through my ceiling. After 3 nights of no sleep, I decided I had to do something. I went up to the 4th floor. The hallway up there was darker than mine. Half the lights were broken. There was a smell too, sweet and rotten, like old meat mixed with perfume. I stood outside apartment 4B. The door was painted black. All the other doors in the building were brown. This one was black. There was no welcome mat, no nameplate, just the number 4B in rusty metal. I raised my hand to knock, but before my knuckles touched the door, the footsteps inside stopped. Complete silence. Whatever was in there knew I was outside. I stood frozen. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. I just stood there staring at that black door. Then I heard breathing on the other side. Deep, wet breathing, like someone with lungs full of water. The breathing got closer to the door. Whatever it was standing right on the other side now. Maybe an inch of wood between us. The doorknob started to turn. I ran. I ran faster than I've ever run in my life. I practically flew down those stairs. I locked myself in my apartment and pushed my couch against the door. I sat there all night with a baseball bat in my hands, waiting. The footsteps upstairs were angry that night. They stomped and crashed around. I heard furniture being thrown. I heard what sounded like screaming, but not human screaming. It was a sound I can't describe, high-pitched and gurgling at the same time. The next morning I called my landlord. I told him I needed to break my lease. There was something wrong with the neighbor upstairs. Apartment 4B, he asked. His voice was strange, nervous. Yes. Who lives there? There was a long pause. No one lives in 4B, he said finally. That apartment has been empty for 5 years. Ever since the incident. What incident? A man lived there. Richard Torres. He did things. Bad things. The police found pieces of. Just don't go up there again. I'll let you break your lease. Move out today. I didn't need to be told twice. I packed everything I could fit in my car and left that afternoon. As I was carrying my last box out, I looked up at the 4th floor window. Apartment 4B. Something was watching me from behind the curtain. I only saw it for a second. A face. But it wasn't human. The skin was grey and rotting. The eyes were huge and white. No pupils. Just white balls bulging from the sockets. The mouth was open. Too open. The jaw hanging down to its chest. Black liquid dripping from between hundreds of needle-sharp teeth. It smiled at me. Waved with a hand that had too many fingers. Too many joints. I got in my car and never looked back. I drove to my parents' house 3 states away. I stayed there for a month before I could even think about getting another apartment. But sometimes, late at night, I still hear those footsteps, even though I'm hundreds of miles away. I hear them above me, following me. Thud, thud, thud. I looked up Richard Torres online. He was arrested for killing and eating 7 people in apartment 4B. He died in prison. But something is still in that apartment. Something that might have been Richard Torres once. Or something that was feeding on him, using his body. I don't know what it was. I don't want to know. I just know that if you ever look for an apartment and see one with a black door, don't rent there. Don't even go inside the building. Some things should stay empty. Some doors should never be opened. The school bus stop. They only come in the fog. My name is Katie, and I'm 17 now, but this story happened when I was 12. Every morning I had to catch the school bus at 6:30 a.m. The bus stop was at the end of my street, about a 5-minute walk from my house. I lived in a quiet neighborhood in Oregon where it was always foggy in the morning, especially in winter. That December was the foggiest I could remember. Every morning the fog was so thick I couldn't see more than 10 feet in front of me. My mom wanted to drive me to the bus stop, but I told her I was old enough to walk by myself. I wish I had let her drive me. Maybe then things would have been different. The first strange thing happened on a Monday morning. I was standing at the bus stop alone. The fog was extra thick that day. I couldn't even see the houses across the street. Everything was white and grey and silent. No birds. No cars. Just the fog. I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, careful footsteps. Like someone trying to be quiet. I turned around, but I couldn't see anyone. Just the wall of fog. "Hello!" I called out. The footsteps stopped immediately. I waited. Nothing. I turned back around to watch for the bus. Then the footsteps started again. Closer this time. I spun around quickly. For just a second, I saw something in the fog. A shape, tall and thin. But it disappeared so fast I wasn't sure if I really saw it. The bus came a minute later. I got on and forgot about it. Kids have big imaginations, right? That's what I told myself. But the next morning it happened again. The footsteps. The tall shape in the fog. This time I saw it for a little longer. It looked like a person but wrong. Too tall. Maybe 8 feet. Too thin. Like someone had stretched a normal person out. And the way it moved. It didn't walk normally. It kind of jerked and twitched. Like a broken puppet. I told my friend Jenny about it at school. She laughed and said I was trying to scare her. But I wasn't joking. Something was watching me at the bus stop. Something was hiding in the fog. Wednesday morning was worse. I heard the footsteps before I even got to the bus stop. They were following me from my house. I walked faster. The footsteps got faster too. I started running. I could hear it running behind me. But not normal running. It sounded like someone running on all fours. Like an animal. I made it to the bus stop and turned around. Nothing there. Just fog. But I could feel it watching me. I could smell something too. Like wet dog mixed with something rotten. Thursday changed everything. I woke up extra early, around 5:45 a.m. I looked out my bedroom window. The street was covered in fog as usual. But there was something else. Under the streetlight near the bus stop, I could see shapes. 3 of them. Tall, thin shapes. Just standing there. Not moving. Waiting. I watched them for 20 minutes. They never moved. Not once. They just stood there like statues. At 6:25, exactly 5 minutes before I usually left for the bus, they walked into the fog and disappeared. I didn't want to go to the bus stop, but my mom would ask questions if I didn't go to school, so I grabbed my dad's flashlight and headed out. The fog was thicker than ever. The flashlight barely helped. It just made a white cone of light in front of me. I walked slowly, listening. No footsteps this time. That was almost worse. I made it to the bus stop. I was alone. I checked my watch. 6:28. 2 minutes until the bus. Then I heard it. Not footsteps. Breathing. All around me. Like I was surrounded. Heavy, wet breathing from every direction. I turned in circles, shining the flashlight everywhere. Nothing but fog. The breathing got louder. Closer. I could feel hot breath on my neck. I screamed and ran into the street just as the bus pulled up. The driver looked at me like I was crazy as I jumped on. "You okay, kid?" he asked. I just nodded and found a seat. I looked out the window as we drove away. For a moment, the fog cleared a little. I saw them, 5 of them now, standing where I had been waiting. Tall, grey things with long arms that reached almost to the ground. No faces. Just smooth grey skin where faces should be. They were watching the bus drive away. Friday morning, I refused to go to school. I told my mom I was sick. She believed me because I looked terrible. I hadn't slept all night. I kept seeing those things in my mind. Those faceless grey things. My mom stayed home from work to take care of me. Around 6:30 a.m., we heard sirens. Lots of them. Police cars and ambulances racing down our street. My mom went outside to see what was happening. She came back white as a sheet. "There's been an accident at the bus stop," she said. Some kid is missing." We found out later it was a boy named Tim from 2 streets over. He waited at the same bus stop as me. He vanished that morning. The police found his backpack and 1 shoe. That was it. They searched for weeks, but never found him. I never took the bus again. My mom drove me to school every day after that. We moved to Arizona that summer, somewhere with no fog, ever. But I know those things are still out there, waiting in the fog, looking for kids who walk alone. If you ever have to wait somewhere foggy, don't go alone. And if you hear breathing but can't see anyone, run. Run as fast as you can. Don't look back. They found 2 more kids' backpacks at that bus stop the following year. Just the backpacks. Nothing else. The city removed the bus stop after that. But I bet those things are still there. Still waiting in the fog. Still hungry. The basement room. Never open a locked door. My name is Tyler, and I'm 19 years old. This happened when I was 15, and it's the reason I can't go into basements anymore. Not even for a second. Not even with other people. Never again. My family bought a new house that summer. It was huge and old. Built in 1910. It had 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, and a massive basement. The price was really low, which should have been a warning sign. But my parents were excited to get such a big house for so little money. The previous owners left in a hurry. They didn't even take all their furniture. Some of it was still in the basement. Old chairs, a broken table, boxes of moldy books. My dad said we would clean it all out eventually. The basement was divided into 3 sections. The main area where the washer and dryer were, a storage area full of the old furniture, and a 3rd room at the very back. That room was different. It had a heavy wooden door with 3 deadbolt locks on it, all locked from the outside. Why would someone lock a room from the outside? I asked my dad when we first saw it. Probably to keep people from stealing stuff, he said. We'll open it up once we find the keys. But we never found the keys. The real estate agent said the previous owners didn't leave any keys for that room. They said they had never opened it in the 20 years they lived there. The owners before them had told them to keep it locked. Always keep it locked. My bedroom was directly above that locked room. Sometimes at night, I could hear things. Scratching sounds. Like fingernails on wood. But I told myself it was just mice or rats. Old houses have mice, right? After we'd been living there for about a month, my friend Jake came over. We were playing video games in my room when he asked about the house. "This place is creepy," he said. "It feels wrong." "It's just old," I told him. "No, there's something else. I can feel it, like something watching us." That night, Jake dared me to go into the basement with him. He wanted to see the locked room. I didn't want to go, but I didn't want to look scared either. So we grabbed flashlights and headed down. The basement was scarier at night. Our flashlights made long shadows on the walls, shadows that seemed to move on their own. We walked past the washer and dryer, through the storage area with all the old furniture. Finally, we stood in front of the locked door. Jake examined the locks. "These are serious locks," he said, "like prison locks. Whatever's in there, someone really didn't want it getting out." "Getting out?" I said. "You mean to keep people from getting in?" Jake shook his head. "Look at the scratches around the locks. Those are on the inside of the door frame. Something was trying to claw its way out." I looked closer. He was right. Deep gouges in the wood, all from the inside. We heard a noise from behind the door. A soft thump, then another, like someone knocking. "Did you hear that?" Jake whispered. I nodded. We both stepped back from the door. The knocking got louder, more insistent. Then we heard something that made my blood freeze. A voice, weak and raspy, coming from inside the locked room. "Please, let me out. Please." Jake and I looked at each other. Someone was trapped in there. We had to help them. "We need to get the locks off," Jake said. "We should get my parents," I said. "What if this person is dying? We need to help them now." Jake ran upstairs and came back with my dad's toolbox. He found a crowbar and started working on the locks. I wanted to stop him, but I kept hearing that voice, pleading, begging, "Please, so hungry, so cold. Let me out." The first lock broke off, then the second. Jake was working on the third lock when I noticed something. The scratches on the door frame. Some of them had dark stains around them. Old blood. "Jake, wait." The third lock snapped off. The door swung open. Inside was complete darkness. Our flashlights couldn't penetrate it. It was like the room was full of black paint. The voice came from the darkness. "Thank you. So hungry. So very hungry." Something moved in the blackness. Something big. I saw eyes. Dozens of eyes. All different sizes. All staring at us. They weren't arranged like human eyes. They were scattered randomly. Some on what might have been a face. Others on arms. Or tentacles. Or something else. Jake screamed. The thing lunged out of the darkness. It was huge. It filled the entire doorway. Grey flesh covered in those eyes and mouths. So many mouths. All full of teeth. It grabbed Jake with something that wasn't quite an arm. More like a tentacle made of human skin. Jake screamed again as it pulled him into the darkness. I heard crunching sounds. Wet, tearing sounds. Jake stopped screaming. I ran. I ran faster than I ever have in my life. I burst out of the basement and slammed the door behind me. I screamed for my parents. They came running. "There's something in the basement." It took Jake. We opened the locked room and it took Jake. My dad grabbed a baseball bat and headed for the basement. My mom called 911. I begged my dad not to go down there, but he didn't listen. He came back up a minute later. His face was pale. "The locked door is still locked," he said. "All 3 locks are in place. And Jake isn't down there. That's impossible." We broke the locks. I saw them break. The police came. They searched the basement. The locked room door had all 3 locks still on it. They looked old and rusted like they hadn't been touched in years. There was no sign of Jake. No sign of any struggle. Nothing. They thought I was lying. Or hallucinating. Jake's parents thought I had done something to him. But I knew the truth. That thing in the locked room had taken him. And somehow, the door had locked itself again. We moved out the next week. My parents didn't ask questions. They could see I was terrified. We stayed in a hotel until we found a new house. A new house with no basement. I found out later that 5 different families had owned that house in the past 30 years. None of them stayed longer than a year. I tracked down one of the previous owners online. He told me his son had disappeared in that house too. They had opened the locked room. His son went in and never came out. But when the police came, the room was locked again, like it had never been opened. He told me something else, something that still keeps me awake at night. The house was built on the site of an old asylum. The basement was part of the original building. That locked room was where they kept the most dangerous patient, a man who claimed he could become something else, something not human. He died in that room in 1923, but the staff locked the door and never opened it again, even after he was supposed to be dead. Jake is still listed as a missing person. His parents still hope he'll come home someday, but I know he won't. He's part of that thing now, part of whatever lives in that locked room, waiting for someone else to open the door. If you ever buy an old house with a locked room, leave it locked. Some doors should never be opened. Some things should never be set free. And if you hear voices begging to be let out, don't listen. It's not a person. It was never a person. It's something pretending, something hungry, something that has been waiting a very long time. The overnight shift. Some jobs aren't worth the money. My name is David, and I'm 22 years old. Last year I was desperate for money. I had just dropped out of college, and my parents had cut me off. I needed a job fast, or I'd be homeless. That's when I saw the ad online. Night security guard. No experience needed. $25 an hour. I applied immediately. The job was at an old shopping mall on the edge of town. The mall had closed down 5 years ago, but the owners still needed security to keep out vandals and thieves. The interview was strange. The manager, Mr. Peterson, barely asked me any questions. He just kept saying I was perfect for the job. He hired me on the spot. "You'll work midnight to 8 a.m., he said. 7 nights a week. Is that a problem?" "No, sir," I said. "For $25 an hour, I would have agreed to anything." "Good. You start tonight. Here are the rules. Very important rules. You must follow them exactly." He handed me a piece of paper with a list of rules. 1. Clock in at midnight. Not before, not after. 2. Do your first patrol at 12:30 a.m. 3. Never go to the second floor between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. 4. If you hear children laughing, do not investigate. 5. The mannequins in the old department store move sometimes. This is normal. Do not interact with them. 6. If someone knocks on the doors, do not let them in, no matter what they say. 7. At 3:33 a.m., lock yourself in the security office and do not come out until 4 a.m. 8. If you see water on the floor, do not step in it. 9. Never look directly at the thing in the food court. 10. Clock out at exactly 8 a.m. and leave immediately. I thought he was joking, some kind of hazing for the new guy, but his face was dead serious. "These rules will keep you safe," he said. "Break them and I can't help you." That night I arrived at 11:45 p.m. The mall was surrounded by a chain-link fence. The parking lot was empty except for weeds growing through cracks in the asphalt. The building looked dead. Dark windows stared at me like empty eyes. I clocked in at exactly midnight. The security office was small, just a desk with monitors showing different parts of the mall. Most of the cameras didn't work. The ones that did showed grainy black and white images of empty hallways and abandoned stores. At 12:30 a.m., I did my first patrol. The mall was creepier than I expected. My footsteps echoed in the silence. Broken glass crunched under my boots. Most of the lights didn't work. I had to use my flashlight. The first floor was mostly empty stores with their gates pulled down. Some were broken into. Trash and graffiti everywhere. Normal abandoned mall stuff. But there was a feeling, like I was being watched. Like something was following me just out of sight. I passed the old department store. The mannequins were still there. Dozens of them. Standing in the dark behind the broken windows. They were wearing rotted clothes from 5 years ago. Their plastic faces were cracked and dirty. As I walked past, I could have sworn their heads turned to watch me. But when I looked directly at them, they were still. At 1 a.m., I heard the children laughing. It came from the second floor. High-pitched giggling echoing through the empty mall. Every instinct told me to investigate. But I remembered rule number 4. Do not investigate. I went back to the security office instead. At 2 a.m., someone knocked on the main entrance doors. I could see them on the one working camera. It was a woman. She looked normal, middle-aged, well-dressed. She was crying. "Please help me," she called out. "My car broke down. I need to use a phone." I wanted to help her. But Rule 6 said never let anyone in, no matter what. I watched her on the monitor. She kept knocking, kept pleading. After 10 minutes, she stopped crying. She stopped looking normal. Her face changed. Her mouth opened too wide. Her eyes turned black. She wasn't human. She had never been human. She screamed at the door, an inhuman shriek that made the windows shake. Then she vanished. Just disappeared between 1 second and the next. At 3:30 a.m., I went back to the security office. I locked the door at exactly 3:33 a.m. like the rules said. That's when things got really bad. On the monitors, I could see things moving in the mall. Shapes that weren't human. They came out of the closed stores, out of the walls, out of the floor. Dozens of them. They filled the hallways. Some walked on 2 legs. Some crawled on all 4s. Some had no legs at all and just slithered. They were searching for something. For me, I realized. They went to every door, every room, looking for the security guard who wasn't where he was supposed to be. One came to the security office door. I could see it on the camera right outside. It was tall, maybe 9 feet. Its arms were too long, dragging on the floor. Its face was just a mouth. No eyes, no nose. Just a massive mouth full of teeth. It tried the door handle. Locked. It knocked. Softly at first. Then harder. Then it started ramming the door. The whole office shook. I hid under the desk, covering my ears, praying for 4 a.m. to come. At exactly 4 a.m., everything stopped. The banging, the searching, the monsters, all gone, like they had never been there at all. I slowly opened the office door. The hallway was empty. No sign of anything unusual. I finished my shift in the office, too scared to do another patrol. At 8 a.m. exactly, I clocked out and ran to my car. I drove home and called Mr. Peterson. "I quit," I said. "You lasted 1 night. That's better than most," he replied. "Your check will be in the mail." What was that place? What were those things? The mall was built on something old. Something that should have been left alone. Those things you saw. They're the real owners. We just rent from them. The rules keep the peace. break the rules, and the peace ends. Why don't you just tear them all down? We tried. The construction workers all disappeared on the third night. 12 men gone. We found pieces of them in the walls. Now we just keep security there. Keep people out. Keep those things in. It's not perfect, but it works. I got my check a week later. $200 for one night's work. I cashed it immediately. I needed the money. But sometimes I wonder about the new security guard. The one who replaced me. Did they follow the rules? Did they last more than one night? I drove past the mall last month. It's still there. Still abandoned. There was a new security car in the parking lot. But I never see the same car twice. They never last long. The things in that mall are hungry, and the rules only protect you so much. If you ever see a job posting for night security at an abandoned building, especially if the pay seems too good, don't take it. Some money isn't worth it. Some places should stay empty, and some rules exist for a reason. Break them and you become part of the building, part of what lurks in the dark, part of what waits for the next security guard to make a mistake. The webcam. Never accept friend requests from strangers. My name is Sarah, and I'm 20 years old now. This happened 2 years ago when I had just started college. I was living in my first apartment, finally free from my parents' rules. I thought I was so grown up, so independent. I was wrong. I was still just a kid who didn't understand how dangerous the world could be. It started with a friend request on social media. The profile name was Nick Anders. His profile picture was a good-looking guy about my age. Dark hair, nice smile, looked like he worked out. We had 15 mutual friends, all people from my high school. I figured he must have gone to a nearby school, or maybe I met him at a party and forgot. I accepted the request. He messaged me immediately. "Hey Sarah, long time no see. How's college treating you?" I didn't remember him, but I didn't want to be rude. We chatted for a few minutes. He seemed nice. Normal. He knew things about my high school, about people I knew. He must have been legitimate, right? We talked every day for a week. He was funny and charming. He complimented me, but not in a creepy way. He seemed genuinely interested in my life. He told me he was studying engineering at a college about an hour away. Everything seemed perfect. Then he asked if we could video chat. "I want to see your face while we talk," he said. "Texting is so impersonal." I agreed. Why not? We had been talking for a week. What could go wrong? The first video chat was normal. He looked exactly like his pictures. We talked for 2 hours about everything. Movies, music, our classes. He was easy to talk to. I felt like I had known him for years. But something was off about his room. It was too empty. Just white walls and a desk. No posters, no pictures, no personality. When I asked about it, he said he had just moved in and hadn't decorated yet. That made sense. We video chatted every night after that. But I started noticing things. His room never changed, never got decorated, and he always wore the same 3 shirts, blue, grey, and black, always in the same order. Blue on Monday and Thursday, grey on Tuesday and Friday, black on Wednesday and weekends. One night, I saw something move behind him, just for a second, a shadow passing by his door. "Is someone there with you?" I asked. "No, I live alone." Must have been a car passing by outside. But his window had blinds. Closed blinds. How could a car cast a shadow through closed blinds? I started paying more attention during our calls. That's when I noticed the really weird stuff. He never ate or drank anything during our calls, even when we talked for 3 or 4 hours. He never needed to use the bathroom, never yawned even when it was late. And his eyes. Sometimes his eyes looked wrong, like they weren't focused on the camera, but on something else, something behind the camera. One night I decided to test him. While we were talking, I secretly started recording our conversation on my phone. I wanted to watch it back later and see if I was imagining things. I wasn't imagining things. It was worse than I thought. When I watched the recording, I could see things I hadn't noticed live. His mouth didn't always match his words, like a badly dubbed movie. Sometimes he would blink, but his eyes would stay open for a fraction of a second too long. And in one frame, just one single frame when I paused it, his face was different. Older, scarred, with dead white eyes. I was terrified, but I didn't know what to do. Who would believe me? So I kept talking to him, but I started making excuses to avoid video chatting. He got angry. Why won't you talk to me properly anymore? Did I do something wrong? I thought we had something special. His messages got more aggressive, more demanding. He started asking where I lived. He wanted to meet in person. When I said no, he got worse. I know you live in College Park Apartments. I know you're in Building C. I can find out which unit. I had never told him where I lived. Never even told him which city my college was in. I blocked him immediately. Blocked him on everything. Changed all my passwords. I thought that would be the end of it. It wasn't. The next night, my laptop turned on by itself. The webcam light came on. I put tape over the camera and unplugged the laptop. My phone camera turned on next. I could see the camera app was running even though I hadn't opened it. I turned the phone off completely. Then I heard his voice, coming from my smart TV. "Why did you block me, Sarah? That wasn't very nice." The TV was showing my living room, like there was a camera somewhere filming me. I could see myself standing there, terrified, looking around for the camera. "I can see you, Sarah. I can always see you. Every device with a camera belongs to me now." I ran out of my apartment and went to my friend Jessica's place. I told her everything. She thought I was having a breakdown until her laptop turned on by itself. Nick's face appeared on the screen, but it wasn't the young handsome face from before. It was the real face, old scarred, with those dead white eyes. "Hello, Jessica," he said. "Thank you for taking care of Sarah. But she needs to come home now. We have so much to talk about." Jessica's phone started playing videos. Security camera footage. Of me walking to class. Of me at the grocery store. Of me in my apartment. Sleeping. Showering. Changing clothes. He had been watching me for who knows how long. "I have everything, Sarah. Every photo you've ever taken. Every message you've ever sent. Every secret you've ever typed. Come home and talk to me, or I send it all to everyone you know. Your parents. Your professors. Everyone. I didn't go home. I went to the police instead. They didn't believe me at first. Thought I was paranoid or on drugs. Until their computers started acting up. Files deleting themselves. New files appearing. pictures of me appearing on their screens. The FBI got involved after that. They traced the hacking to an address 3 states away. When they raided the house, they found him, the real Nick Anders, a 47-year-old man living in his dead mother's basement. The walls were covered with pictures of me, hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Pictures from my social media, but also pictures I had never posted. Pictures taken from hacked webcams and security cameras. He had hard drives full of videos of me, of my friends, of dozens of other girls. He had been watching us all for years, learning about us, creating fake profiles to talk to us, to get close to us. They arrested him, but the damage was done. I couldn't use technology the same way again. Every camera felt like an eye watching me. Every notification made me panic. I covered every camera with tape. I stopped using social media. I barely use my phone. He's in prison now. 25 years for cyberstalking, identity theft, and a bunch of other charges. But I still don't feel safe, because during the trial, he said something that haunts me. I'm not the only one doing this. There are thousands of us, watching through your cameras, learning about you, getting close to you. You'll never know which friend request is real and which is one of us. We're everywhere, and we're always watching. The prosecutor said he was just trying to scare me. But what if he was telling the truth? What if there are more like him? Last week, I got a new friend request. Mike Patterson, 22 mutual friends. Good-looking guy. Nice smile. His first message said, "Hey Sarah, long time no see. I deleted my account. All my accounts. I don't use social media anymore. I don't video chat. I don't even take pictures. Because every camera is a window, and you never know who's looking through it. If you get a friend request from someone you don't remember, don't accept it. If someone wants to video chat right away, say no. And if you notice anything strange during a video call, end it immediately. Block them. Go to the police if you have to, because there are people out there who aren't who they say they are. They're not your friend from high school. They're not the cute guy from the party. They're predators. Watching, waiting, learning, and by the time you realize something's wrong, they already know everything about you. Cover your cameras. All of them. Even your phone. Especially your phone. Because somewhere out there, someone might be watching you right now. Watching you read this. Watching you through that little camera you forgot about. They're always watching. 5 more original horror stories collection. Story 1. The Baby Monitor. Some things shouldn't be seen. My name is Rachel, and I'm 24 years old now. This happened 3 years ago when I was babysitting to make extra money for college. I had been babysitting for the Thompson family for about 6 months. They had a baby girl named Lucy who was 8 months old. She was the easiest baby to watch. She barely ever cried and slept through most of the night. The Thompsons lived in a big house at the end of a quiet street. It was one of those modern smart homes with cameras and monitors everywhere. They could control everything from their phones. The lights, the temperature, the security system. Everything was connected to the internet. They had this fancy baby monitor with a camera that could see in the dark. It had night vision that made everything look green and creepy, but you could see everything in Lucy's room perfectly. The monitor had a screen in the kitchen and another one in the living room. You could also watch from an app on your phone. That Friday night started normal. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson left for their date night around 7 p.m. They were going to dinner and a movie. They would be back around midnight. Lucy was already asleep in her crib. I just had to watch TV and check on her every hour or so. I was in the living room watching Netflix when I heard Lucy crying through the monitor. I looked at the screen. She was standing up in her crib, holding the bars. But something was wrong. She wasn't just crying. She was screaming, like she was terrified. I ran upstairs to her room. When I opened the door, she stopped crying immediately. She was lying down in her crib, fast asleep. Not standing, not crying, just sleeping peacefully. That was weird. I had just seen her standing and screaming on the monitor. I looked at the monitor screen. It showed Lucy sleeping, exactly how she looked in person. Maybe I had imagined it. Maybe I was more tired than I thought. I went back downstairs. 20 minutes later, I heard crying again. I looked at the monitor. Lucy was standing again, screaming. But this time, there was something else in the room. A shadow in the corner. It was tall and dark. It looked like a person, but I couldn't see any details. Just a black shape. I ran upstairs again. Lucy was sleeping. No shadow in the corner. Nothing wrong at all. I was really freaked out now. I checked the monitor. It showed Lucy sleeping peacefully. No shadow. I decided to stay in Lucy's room for a while. I sat in the rocking chair next to her crib. She was definitely asleep. Her little chest rising and falling. Her face peaceful. I watched her for about 15 minutes. Nothing happened. I went back downstairs, but I took my phone with me. I opened the baby monitor app so I could watch from my phone and the monitor screen at the same time. Maybe one of them was broken. 30 minutes passed. Then I heard it again. Crying. But this time it was different. It was coming from the monitor, but Lucy's mouth wasn't moving. The crying was coming from somewhere else in the room. And the shadow was back. But now it was closer to the crib. And it had eyes. Red glowing eyes. I looked at my phone. The app showed the same thing. Shadow. Red eyes. Crying that wasn't coming from Lucy. But Lucy was still asleep in the image. Not moving at all. I ran upstairs and burst into the room. Nothing. No shadow. No crying. Just Lucy sleeping. I turned on all the lights. I checked the closet. Under the crib. Behind the curtains. Nothing was there. I was about to leave when I noticed something. The window was open. Just a crack. But I knew it had been closed before. The Thompsons always kept it locked. Always. I closed and locked the window. Then I looked at the monitor one more time. My blood turned to ice. The shadow was right behind me on the screen, standing directly behind me. I could see myself in the monitor and this thing towering over me, its red eyes staring at me through the screen. I spun around. Nothing there. I looked back at the monitor. The shadow was gone, but there was writing on the wall behind the crib. Words that weren't there in real life, written in something dark and dripping. She's mine now. I grabbed Lucy out of her crib and ran out of the room. I ran downstairs and out the front door. I called 911 from the front yard. I told them someone was in the house. I didn't mention the shadow. Who would believe that? The police came quickly. 3 cars. They searched the entire house. Every room. Every closet. The attic. The basement. They found something that made them call for backup. In the attic, directly above Lucy's room, they found a man. He had been living up there for weeks, maybe months. He had cut a small hole in the ceiling, just big enough to lower a camera through. He had been watching Lucy, recording her. But that wasn't the worst part. He had equipment up there, computer equipment. He had hacked into the baby monitor system. He could make it show whatever he wanted. The crying, the shadow, the writing on the wall. It was all fake, all designed to scare me, to make me think I was going crazy. But why? Why would he do that? The police found journals, hundreds of pages of writing about Lucy, about how she was special, how she was chosen, how he needed to take her on her first birthday, how he had been watching her since she was born, waiting for the right time. He had been testing me, seeing how I would react, if I would run, if I would take Lucy with me. He was planning to take her that night. The police found rope and chloroform in the attic. He was going to drug me and take Lucy. They arrested him. His name was Eugene Morris. He was 43 years old. He had done this before. 3 other babies in 3 other states. They were never found. The Thompsons moved the next week. They couldn't stay in that house knowing he had been up there, watching, planning. They thanked me for saving Lucy, for getting her out of the house. But I know the truth. I didn't save her. I got lucky. If I hadn't seen that shadow, if I hadn't gotten scared and run, he would have taken her. I don't babysit anymore. I can't. Every time I see a baby monitor, I think about that night, about what was real and what wasn't, about what could have happened. The police said Eugene Morris had help, someone who taught him how to hack the monitors, how to create the fake images. They never found that person, which means they're still out there, still teaching others, still watching through baby monitors. If you have a baby monitor with a camera, unplug it. Use an audio-only monitor. Or better yet, keep the baby's room close to yours and don't use a monitor at all. Because you never know who's watching. You never know what's real and what's fake. And by the time you figure it out, it might be too late. Eugene Morris is in prison now. Life without parole. But sometimes I wonder about all the other Eugene Morrises out there, sitting in attics, watching through cameras, waiting for their chance. And I wonder about Lucy. She's almost 4 now. The Thompsons sent me a Christmas card with her picture. She's beautiful and happy. She doesn't remember that night. She doesn't know how close she came to disappearing forever. But I remember. I'll always remember. The shadow with red eyes. The crying that wasn't real. The man in the attic. And the words on the wall that only existed on a screen. Sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones that are real. The gas station bathroom. Never stop at night. My name is Kevin, and I'm 21 years old. Last summer, I was driving home from my girlfriend's house. She lived 3 hours away, so I would visit her on weekends and drive back late Sunday night. I had made this drive dozens of times. I knew every exit, every rest stop, every gas station along the way. It was around 2 a.m. when I needed to stop for gas. I usually stopped at the same Shell station at exit 42, but it was closed for renovation. The next exit was 15 miles away. By the time I got there, I was running on fumes and really needed to use the bathroom. The gas station at exit 57 was old and run down. I had never stopped there before. It was one of those places that looked abandoned but was somehow still open. The lights flickered. The pumps were ancient. The building needed paint about 20 years ago. There was only one other car there. An old pickup truck parked at the far end of the lot. It looked like it hadn't moved in years. Weeds were growing around the tires. I pumped my gas and then walked to the building to pay and use the bathroom. The door made a creepy creaking sound when I opened it. Inside was worse than outside. Flickering fluorescent lights. Stained ceiling tiles. The smell of mold and something else. Something rotten. The cashier was an old man, maybe 70 years old. He was thin and pale with yellow teeth. He didn't look at me when I walked in, just stared at a small TV playing static. 20 on pump 3, I said, putting the money on the counter. He took the money without looking at me, without saying a word. Just grabbed it with his bony fingers and put it in the register. "Where's the bathroom?" I asked. He pointed to a hallway at the back of the store. Still didn't look at me. Still didn't speak. The hallway was dark. The light switch didn't work. I used my phone's flashlight to see. The walls were covered in graffiti and what looked like scratch marks. Deep gouges in the drywall like someone had clawed at it. The bathroom door was at the end of the hall. It was a single bathroom, not men's and women's separate. The door was heavy wood with a sliding lock on the inside. The kind of lock that could be opened from outside with a screwdriver. I should have left right then. Everything about this place felt wrong. But I really had to go. I figured I would be quick. In and out in 2 minutes. The bathroom was disgusting. The toilet was stained brown and black. The sink was cracked. The mirror was so dirty I could barely see myself. But worst was the smell, like something had died in there. I was trying to be as quick as possible when I heard the door handle rattle. Someone was trying to get in. "Occupied," I called out. The rattling stopped. Then I heard breathing on the other side of the door. Heavy, raspy breathing, like someone with lung problems. "I'll be out in a minute," I said. The breathing got louder. Then I heard scratching. Fingernails on wood. Slow, deliberate scratching. I finished and washed my hands as fast as I could. The scratching continued. Then I heard a voice. But it wasn't a normal voice. It was wet and gurgling. "Let me in." "I'm coming out," I said, moving toward the door. "No. Let me in. Let me in now." The voice was getting angry. The scratching turned to pounding. The door shook with each hit. I looked around for another way out. There was a small window high on the wall, too small for a person to fit through. No other door. I was trapped. The pounding stopped suddenly. Complete silence. I waited, listening. Nothing. I slowly reached for the lock. That's when I saw it. Fingers sliding under the door. Long, thin fingers with yellow nails. Too many fingers. I counted 8 on one hand. They were feeling around, searching for something. I stepped back and the fingers found my shoe. They grabbed it with impossible strength. I pulled back, but they held on. More fingers appeared. Then a whole hand. But the hand was wrong. It was too long. The proportions were all off. And it was the wrong color. Grayish-green like a corpse. I kicked at the fingers and they let go. They withdrew under the door. Then I heard running footsteps moving away down the hall. I waited 5 minutes. 10 minutes. No sound. Finally, I unlocked the door and opened it a crack. The hallway was empty. I could see the store at the end. The lights were still on. I ran. I ran down that hallway faster than I've ever run. But as I reached the end, the lights went out. The entire store went dark. I used my phone light and made my way to the front door. It was locked. The chains were on it, padlocked from the inside. I was trapped. "Hello," I called out. "Hey, I'm still in here." No answer. I looked for the cashier. He was gone. The register was open and empty. The TV was off. I heard footsteps behind me. Slow, shuffling footsteps. And that breathing again. That wet, raspy breathing. I turned around and saw it. The thing from the bathroom. It wasn't human. It might have been once, but not anymore. It was tall and bent at wrong angles. Its arms were too long. Its fingers dragged on the floor. Its face was the worst part. The mouth was sideways. The eyes were different sizes. One tiny, one huge. And the skin looked melted. It moved toward me in jerky motions, like a broken puppet, like its bones weren't connected right. "You should have let me in," it gurgled. "Now I have to do this the hard way." I grabbed a metal shelf and pushed it over between us. It fell with a crash. The thing laughed. A sound like water going down a drain. I ran to the back of the store. There had to be another exit. A back door. Something. I found it in a storage room. An emergency exit. I pushed the bar and an alarm went off. Loud and piercing. I ran out into the night. My car was still at the pump. I jumped in and started it. In the mirror, I could see the thing standing in the doorway of the store, watching me. It waved with those two long fingers. I drove away as fast as I could. I didn't stop until I got home. The next day, I looked up the gas station online. I wanted to report it to someone. The police, the health department, anyone. But I couldn't find it. No gas station at exit 57. No record of it ever existing. I drove back a week later during the day. Exit 57 was there, but no gas station. Just an empty lot with the foundation of an old building. Weeds everywhere. A sign said, "Condemned, 1987. I asked around the nearest town. An old woman at a diner told me there used to be a gas station there. 30 years ago. The owner went crazy. Started living in the building. People would report seeing lights at night, but when the police checked, no one was there. They found his body in 1987. In the bathroom. He had been dead for weeks. But people still reported seeing lights at the gas station for years after. People still reported stopping there for gas. Some of them were never seen again. I don't drive that route anymore. I take the longer way now. It adds an hour to my trip, but I don't care. And I never stop at gas stations at night. Never. I wait until morning, no matter how badly I need gas or need to use the bathroom, because some gas stations aren't really there. Some places exist between what's real and what isn't, and if you stop at them, you might not leave. You might become part of them. Another ghost in an abandoned building. Another thing with too many fingers waiting in the bathroom. If you're driving late at night and see a gas station that looks abandoned but the lights are on, keep driving. Don't stop. No matter how badly you need gas. No matter how much you need to use the bathroom. Just keep driving. Because some places shouldn't exist. And the things inside them are hungry. The birthday party clown. He wasn't hired. My name is Melissa, and I'm 26 now. This happened when I was 10 years old at my little brother Tommy's 7th birthday party. My parents had gone all out. They rented a bounce house, hired a face painter, and ordered a huge dinosaur cake. Tommy loved dinosaurs. The party was in our backyard. About 20 kids from Tommy's class were there, plus all their parents. It was loud and chaotic and perfect. Tommy was having the best day of his life. Around 2 p.m., the clown arrived. He came through the back gate carrying a large black bag. He had the full outfit: big red shoes, colorful wig, white face paint, red nose. But something was off about him. His smile was painted on, but his eyes weren't smiling. They were cold and dark. My mom looked confused when she saw him. "I didn't hire a clown," she whispered to my dad. "I thought you did," my dad whispered back. They were about to go talk to him when the clown announced in a booming voice, "Who wants to see a magic show?" All the kids screamed, "Me, me, me," and ran over to him. He had already set up a small stage area and was pulling things out of his bag. My parents looked at each other. Maybe one of the other parents had hired him as a surprise. They didn't want to ruin the party by making a scene. The clown's magic show was weird. Not funny weird. Scary weird. He made balloon animals, but they all looked wrong. The balloon dog had too many legs. The balloon snake had teeth. Real-looking teeth. The balloon bird had red eyes that seemed to follow you. For his first trick, he called Tommy up to the stage. "The birthday boy," the clown said. His voice was different now. Lower. Rougher. "Come here, special boy." Tommy walked up slowly. He looked scared. The clown was very tall. Maybe 7 feet. He towered over Tommy. "For this trick, I need something special from the birthday boy," the clown said. He pulled out scissors. Large, sharp scissors. Just a little hair. He reached for Tommy's head. My dad stepped forward. "I don't think that's appropriate," my dad said. The clown turned to look at my dad. Just stared at him. The painted smile never changed, but his eyes got darker. "It's just magic," the clown said. "Don't you want to see magic?" "Tommy, come back here," my mom called. Tommy started to walk back, but the clown grabbed his shoulder. Not hard, but firm enough to stop him. "The show isn't over," the clown said. That's when I noticed something. The clown's hand on Tommy's shoulder had 6 fingers. 6 long, white fingers. "Let go of him," my dad said, walking toward the stage. The clown let go, and Tommy ran to my mom. The clown laughed. It wasn't a funny laugh. It was wrong. Too long. Too loud. Some of the younger kids started crying. "Fine," the clown said. "We'll do a different trick. Who wants to see something disappear?" He pulled a rabbit out of his bag. A real, live white rabbit. It was shaking in his hands. "Watch closely," he said. He put the rabbit in a box and closed the lid. He said some words that didn't sound like English, or any language I had heard. The words hurt my ears, made my head feel fuzzy. He opened the box. The rabbit was gone, but there was something else in there, something red and wet. He quickly closed the box. "Oops," he said. "Wrong spell." Parents were grabbing their kids now, leaving quickly. My dad was on the phone with someone, probably the police. The clown started packing up his things, putting everything back in his black bag. He was humming something. a tune that sounded familiar but wrong, like a children's song played backwards. "This was fun," he said to no one in particular. "I'll see you all again soon." He looked directly at Tommy when he said it, then at me. His eyes stayed on me for too long. "Especially you," he said to me. "You're almost ready." Ready for what? I wanted to ask but couldn't speak. I was frozen. He walked toward the back gate. My dad tried to stop him. "You need to wait for the police," my dad said. The clown pushed my dad aside with one hand. My dad flew backward and hit the ground hard. He's a big man, my dad, 200 pounds. But the clown moved him like he weighed nothing. The clown left through the gate. We heard a car drive away, but no one saw what he was driving. The police came 10 minutes later. They took statements. They looked for evidence. They found nothing. But that wasn't the end. That night, I woke up to tapping on my window. My room was on the second floor. Nothing could reach my window. But there was definitely tapping. I looked through the curtains. The clown was there, standing on nothing, floating outside my second-story window, still in full costume, still with that painted smile. "Let me in," he mouthed. No sound, just the words. I screamed. My parents ran in. The clown was gone. They thought I had a nightmare. But the next night he was back. And the next. Every night for a week. Always at 3 a.m. Always tapping. Always mouthing, "Let me in." I stopped sleeping. I was too scared. My parents took me to a doctor. The doctor said it was trauma from the party. Gave me sleeping pills. They didn't help. I could still hear the tapping even when I was drugged. On the 8th night, the tapping stopped. But I heard Tommy scream. We all ran to his room. His window was open. There were muddy footprints on the carpet. Size 18 shoes. Clown shoes. Tommy was in his bed, under the covers, shaking. When my mom pulled back the covers, we saw what was making him shake. Balloon animals. Dozens of them. All around him, under the covers. But they were moving, crawling on him like real animals. My dad grabbed them and popped them one by one. They screamed when they popped. Actually screamed. And instead of air, they were filled with something black and thick that smelled like sulfur. We left that night, packed what we could, and went to a hotel. We never went back to that house. My parents hired movers to get our stuff. We moved to a different state. But it didn't matter. The clown found us. Not in person. In other ways. We would get packages with no return address. Inside would be photos from Tommy's party. But in the photos, there were things that weren't there in real life. Shadow figures in the background. Red eyes in the bounce house. And in one photo, all the kids at the party had black X's over their faces. All except me and Tommy. We moved again. And again. 5 times in 3 years. He always found us. Always sent packages. Sometimes balloon animals would appear in our house. We would wake up and they would be there, floating in the living room, sitting on the kitchen table. Once spelled out on Tommy's bed, "Almost time." When I turned 16, it stopped. No more packages. No more balloon animals. No more clown. We thought it was over. Then last month, I got a letter, hand-delivered to my apartment. No postmark, just my name on the envelope. Inside was an invitation. You're invited to a very special birthday party. Date, your 27th birthday time, 3 a.m. place. You'll know RSVP. You don't have a choice. See you soon. Mr. Giggles, my 27th birthday is next week. I'm not going to be home. I'm going to be on a plane to Australia, as far away as I can get. But I know it won't matter. He'll find me. He always does. Because some clowns aren't really clowns. They're something else. Something that feeds on fear. Something that marks certain kids for certain purposes. And when you're marked, you can run but you can't hide. If someone shows up to your kid's party uninvited, especially if they're in costume, don't let them stay. Don't worry about being rude. Don't worry about making a scene. Get them out. Call the police. Do whatever you have to do. Because once they mark your child, it's too late. They'll always be watching, always waiting. And one day, when the time is right, they'll come to collect what they think is theirs. My 27th birthday is in 6 days. I can feel him getting closer. I see balloon animals in my peripheral vision that disappear when I look directly at them. I hear circus music when I'm falling asleep. And last night, I found a red nose on my pillow. He's coming for me. Mr. Giggles is coming. And this time, I don't think I can run. The Airbnb room. Check the reviews first. My name is Jason, and I'm 25 years old. Last year, I had to travel to Portland for a job interview. I was broke, so I couldn't afford a hotel. I found a cheap Airbnb instead. $30 a night for a private room in someone's house. The host had good reviews. 4.8 stars. Seemed perfect. The house was in a quiet neighborhood about 20 minutes from downtown. It was an old Victorian-style house. 3 stories, painted dark blue with white trim. The host, Margaret, met me at the door. Margaret was probably 60 years old. She was very thin with long grey hair. She wore a floral dress that looked like it was from the 1970s. She smelled like mothballs and something sweet. Too sweet. Like rotting fruit. "Welcome, welcome," she said. Her voice was sing-songy. "You must be Jason. So nice to meet you." She showed me around the house. It was full of old furniture and doilies and ceramic cats. Everything was covered in a thin layer of dust. The walls were covered in old photographs, black and white pictures of people who looked unhappy. "Your room is on the 3rd floor," she said, leading me up the narrow stairs. "You'll have lots of privacy up there." The stairs creaked with every step. The 2nd floor had 3 doors, all closed. I could hear a TV playing behind one of them. The volume was turned up loud. It sounded like static mixed with voices. "My other guest," Margaret said. "He likes his shows." The 3rd floor was basically an attic converted into a bedroom. Slanted ceiling, 1 window, 1 door. The room was small but clean. A single bed, a dresser, a small desk. On the wall was a painting of a crying child. One of those creepy mass-produced ones from the 60s. "Bathroom is on the 2nd floor," Margaret said. "You share it with my other guest. Breakfast is at 7 a.m. sharp in the kitchen. Don't be late." She left and I unpacked my stuff. The room was hot and stuffy. I tried to open the window, but it was painted shut. The crying child painting seemed to watch me as I moved around the room. That night I went to bed early. The interview was at 9 a.m. and I wanted to be well rested. But I couldn't sleep. The house made too many noises. Creaking, settling, footsteps on the stairs. And that TV on the second floor never turned off. All night long, static and voices. Around 2 a.m., I had to use the bathroom. I crept down to the second floor. The hallway was dark except for a sliver of light under one door. The TV sounds were coming from there. As I passed, I heard something else. Crying. Someone was crying behind that door. The bathroom was disgusting. The toilet was stained yellow. The bathtub had black mold. The mirror was cracked. And there was hair everywhere. Long grey hair. In the sink, on the floor, wrapped around the faucet handles. As I was washing my hands, the door handle jiggled. Someone was trying to get in. Occupied, I said. The jiggling stopped. Then I heard breathing on the other side of the door. Wheezing, labored breathing, like someone with emphysema. Just a minute, I said. The breathing got louder. Then scratching on the door. Long, slow scratches. I opened the door quickly. No one was there. The hallway was empty. But the door to the TV room was open now. Just a crack. I could see an eye peering out at me. A milky white eye with no pupil. I ran back to my room and locked the door. I pushed the dresser in front of it. I sat on the bed, wide awake, until morning. At 7 a.m. sharp, I went down for breakfast. I didn't want to, but I also didn't want to make Margaret angry. The kitchen smelled like bacon and eggs, but also something else. Something chemical, like formaldehyde. Margaret was at the stove. Another person was sitting at the table. A man, maybe 40 years old, pale, thin, wearing pajamas. He was eating eggs, but his movements were wrong. Mechanical, like he had to think about each motion. "This is Robert," Margaret said. "My long-term guest. Robert, this is Jason." Robert looked at me. His eyes were like the one I saw last night. Milky white. No pupils. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came out. Just a wheeze. "Robert's not much of a talker," Margaret said, putting a plate in front of me. "Eat up." The eggs looked normal, but tasted wrong. Metallic. The bacon was undercooked, pink and slimy. I forced down a few bites, then said I had to go. "Your interview isn't until 9, Margaret said. "Stay. Chat with us." "I need to prepare," I lied. "You can't leave yet," she said. Her voice wasn't sing-songy anymore. It was flat. Cold. No one leaves before finishing breakfast. House rules. Robert stood up. He was taller than I expected. He moved toward the door, blocking my exit. "Sit," Margaret said. "Finish your food." I sat. I ate. Every metallic bite. Every slimy piece of bacon. Margaret watched me the entire time, smiling. Robert wheezed in the corner. Finally, she let me go. I ran to my room, grabbed my stuff, and tried to leave. But the front door was locked. Multiple deadbolts. All locked from the inside. I couldn't find the keys. "Where are you going?" Margaret was behind me. "You have another night booked. I need to leave. Family emergency. No refunds," she said, "and no leaving before checkout time. House rules." I pushed past her and tried the back door. Also locked. The windows all had bars on them. I was trapped. I went back to my room and called 911. No signal. I tried the Wi-Fi. No internet. I was completely cut off. That's when I really looked at the photos on the walls. All those unhappy people in old photographs. But some of them weren't that old. Some looked like they were from the 90s, the 2000s, and they all had the same expression. Frozen. Terrified. Like they were screaming but couldn't. In one photo from maybe 5 years ago, I recognized someone. A girl from my college. She had gone missing on a trip to Portland. Never found. And here she was, in a photo on Margaret's wall, standing next to Margaret and Robert. But her eyes were all white. Just like Robert's. I understood then. Robert wasn't a guest. He used to be a guest. Now he was something else. And Margaret was collecting guests, keeping them, changing them into whatever Robert had become. I barricaded myself in my room, pushed everything against the door. I waited until dark, then tried the window again. I used the desk lamp to break the glass. The noise was loud, but I didn't care. I had to get out. The window was 3 stories up, but there was a tree close by. I jumped, caught a branch, and climbed down. I hit the ground running. Behind me, I heard Margaret screaming. Not words, just an inhuman shriek. I ran to the main road and flagged down a car. They drove me to the police station. I told the cops everything. They didn't believe me at first, but they agreed to check it out. They found the house. They found Margaret. But she was just a sweet old lady who ran an Airbnb. No Robert. No locked doors. No photos on the walls. Everything was normal. They thought I was on drugs. But I know what I saw. And I know Margaret is still out there, running her Airbnb. Still collecting guests. I've seen the reviews. They're all 5 stars. All saying how wonderful Margaret is. How comfortable the room is. How they wished they could stay forever. But if you look at the reviewers' profiles, they only have 1 review. Just the one for Margaret's place. And then they never review anything again. Never post anything again. Because they never left. If you're ever in Portland and see a cheap Airbnb in a dark blue Victorian house, don't book it. Pay extra for a hotel. Sleep in your car if you have to. Because some hosts don't want you to leave. Some hosts are collecting something. And once you're in their house, you become part of their collection. I still have nightmares about Robert's white eyes. About Margaret's smile. About what would have happened if I hadn't broken that window. Would I be in a photo on her wall now? Would my eyes be white and empty? Would I be the one wheezing in the corner while she feeds new guests metallic eggs? I don't know. And I don the ice cream truck. It only comes after dark. My name is Carlos, and I'm 18 now. This story happened when I was 12 years old. Every summer, ice cream trucks would drive through our neighborhood. Normal ones during the day. They played normal music, sold normal ice cream. But there was another one that only came at night. The first time I heard it was a Tuesday in July. It was almost 11 p.m. I was in bed but not asleep yet. That's when I heard the music. Ice cream truck music. But it was wrong. Slower than normal. In a minor key. It made the Happy Children song sound like a funeral dirge. I looked out my window. An ice cream truck was slowly driving down our street. But it wasn't like any ice cream truck I had ever seen. It was black. Completely black. No colorful pictures of popsicles or ice cream cones. No bright lights. Just black metal and tinted windows. The music got louder as it got closer. I could see kids coming out of their houses. But not normal kid behavior. They were walking like sleepwalkers, eyes open but vacant, moving toward the truck like they were being pulled by invisible strings. My little sister Emma's door opened. She walked past my room toward the stairs. Her eyes were open, but she wasn't really awake. "Emma," I whispered. She didn't respond, just kept walking. I followed her downstairs. She went to the front door and started unlocking it. "Emma, stop. What are you doing?" She didn't answer. She opened the door and walked outside. Other kids from the neighborhood were already at the truck, all of them in their pajamas, all of them with those empty eyes. The truck had stopped at the corner. The back window was open. I couldn't see who was inside, just darkness. The kids were lining up. The first kid, a boy named Miguel from down the street, reached the window. A hand came out of the darkness. But it wasn't a normal hand. It was too long, too white, with too many joints in the fingers. It handed Miguel something. I couldn't see what. Miguel took it and walked away. But he didn't go home. He walked to the truck's back door and climbed inside. "Miguel!" I shouted. "Don't get in there!" No one looked at me. It was like I wasn't there. More kids were taking things from that horrible hand and climbing into the truck. Emma was getting closer to the window. I ran to her and grabbed her arm. "Emma, wake up! Wake up!" She pulled away with surprising strength. Her face turned to me, but her eyes were still empty. "I need my ice cream," she said in a monotone voice. "He says I'm special. He has special ice cream for special children." "Who says? Who's in the truck?" "The ice cream man. He comes for the special ones, the ones who can hear his true song." She pulled free and kept walking. I tried to grab her again, but something pushed me back. Not physically. It was like an invisible wall. I couldn't get closer to the truck. Emma reached the window. The hand came out. It touched her face with those awful fingers. She smiled, a dreamy, faraway smile. Then the hand gave her something. It looked like ice cream, but it was wrong. It was black and seemed to move on its own, like it was alive. Emma took a bite. Her eyes rolled back. Black liquid dripped from her mouth. Then she walked to the back of the truck. "No!" I screamed. I ran home and woke up my parents. They didn't believe me at first, said I was having a nightmare. But then they saw Emma's bed was empty. We ran outside. The street was empty. No truck. No kids. Nothing. We called the police. Other parents were calling too. 7 kids were missing from our neighborhood, including Emma. The police searched everywhere. They found nothing. No tire tracks. No witnesses except me. And no one believed what I saw. 3 days later, Emma came back. She walked through the front door at 3 a.m. like nothing had happened. But she was different. Her skin was paler. Her eyes were darker, and she was cold. Not just her personality. Her actual body was cold to the touch. "Where were you?" my mom cried, hugging her. "I don't know," Emma said. Her voice was flat. "I don't remember." But she was lying. I could tell. She remembered everything. The other kids came back too. All within a few days. All with the same story. They didn't remember anything. But they were all different. Colder. Quieter. Wrong. And they all had the same mark. A small symbol on the back of their neck. It looked like an ice cream cone, but the details were disturbing. The ice cream part looked like a skull. The cone looked like teeth. The kids started meeting up at night. They would sneak out and gather in the park, just standing in a circle, not talking, not playing, just standing there, waiting. I followed Emma one night, hid in the bushes and watched. At exactly midnight, they all looked up at the sky at the same time. Their mouths opened and black smoke came out. It formed shapes in the air, symbols I didn't recognize. Then they all smiled and went home. This went on for weeks. Then the ice cream truck came back. Same time, same slow, creepy music. But this time, I was ready. I had told my friend Jake everything. He believed me because his little brother was one of the kids who had disappeared. We had a plan. When we heard the music, we got on our bikes and followed the truck. It was collecting more kids. Different neighborhoods. Always the same pattern. Kids walking out like zombies. Taking something from that horrible hand. Getting in the truck. We followed it to the edge of town. To an abandoned ice cream factory. The truck drove through a gap in the fence and parked inside a warehouse. We hid and watched. The back of the truck opened. The kids came out. But there were more kids than had gotten in. Dozens of them. From different neighborhoods. Different towns maybe. All with those empty eyes. They walked into the factory in a line. We snuck closer and looked through a broken window. Inside was impossible. The space was too big. It couldn't fit in the building. It was like looking at a massive cavern made of ice. In the center was something I can't properly describe. It was huge and white and constantly shifting, like a giant made of ice cream that was always melting and reforming. The kids walked up to it one by one. It would touch them with tentacles made of frozen milk. They would shudder and black marks would appear on their skin. Then they would walk to the walls and stand there. Hundreds of kids standing against the ice walls. Not moving. Not blinking. Just standing. Then I saw Emma. She was walking toward the thing in the center. But she wasn't empty-eyed like the others. She was looking right at me. She mouthed one word. Run. The thing in the center turned toward the window. It didn't have eyes, but I could feel it looking at me. Into me. Through me. I heard its voice in my head. Not words. Just hunger. Endless hunger. Jake and I ran. We got on our bikes and pedaled faster than ever before. Behind us, we could hear the music starting again. Getting closer. Following us. We made it home and told everyone. Our parents. The police. The FBI eventually. They raided the factory. Found nothing. No truck. No kids. No giant ice cream monster. Just an empty building that had been closed for 20 years. But Emma never came home that night. None of the marked kids did. They all disappeared again. This time for good. That was 6 years ago. They're still listed as missing. Their parents still hope. Still put up posters. Still wait for them to come home. But I know they're not coming back. They're part of something else now. Something that hunts in ice cream trucks and feeds on children. Something that marks its victims and makes them bring more. Last week, I heard the music again. That slow, wrong version of the ice cream truck song. I looked out my window. The black truck was back. Driving slowly down my street. I'm 18 now. Too old for it to take me. But I saw who was driving. It was Emma. Still 10 years old. Still pale and cold. She looked up at my window and waved. Then she held up a sign. We need more. Help us feed. I've been hearing the music every night since then. Getting louder. Getting closer. And last night, I found something on my pillow. A black popsicle. Still frozen even though my room was warm. There was a note. You were always special. Join your sister. I threw it away, but it came back. It's in my freezer now, calling to me. I can hear it whispering, telling me how good it would taste, how happy I would be, how Emma misses me. I'm leaving town tomorrow, going to college early, far away from here, somewhere hot where ice cream trucks would melt. But I know it won't matter. The music will follow me. Emma will find me. And one day, I'll take a bite of that black popsicle, and I'll join her in the truck, because some things mark you as a child and never let go. Some hungers can never be satisfied, and some ice cream trucks aren't selling ice cream at all. They're collecting something else, something that lives inside special children, something that needs to feed. If you ever hear ice cream truck music late at night, don't look outside. Don't let your children go to the door. And whatever you do, don't take anything from the window, because once you do, you belong to it, and it never lets go of what belongs to it. The music is playing again right now. I can see the truck outside. Emma is driving. She's crying black tears. There are so many kids in the back. So many pale faces pressed against the glass. She's holding up a new sign. Last chance, brother. The black popsicle in my freezer is calling louder now. It sounds like Emma's voice. The Emma from before. When she was normal. When she was my sister. Maybe I should just taste it. Just one lick. What's the worst that could happen? The music is so loud now. So beautiful. Why did I think it was creepy? It's the most beautiful sound I've ever heard. I need to go. Emma is waiting. She says the ice cream man wants to meet me. Says I'm going to be his new helper. Says we'll be together forever. That sounds nice. That sounds perfect. I just need one taste first. Want to know. I just know that I'll never use Airbnb again. Ever.